Welcome back. Here we are again. I would like to pick up where we left off. And so, where we left off, I had provided an assignment for folks to work on, and that looked like this, the immersive learning project. So, folks were supposed to read. Hopefully, you had a chance to grab your Bible and read Genesis 1 through 2. Then we were going to address these questions. So I'd like to start with this first question here. How does verse 1 read in your version, in your Bible? And so, take a look, read it. And so I'll share uh, my own. I've got several Bibles around me here. I'll go ahead and share a few. This is the New American Standard Ryrie Study Bible. And you can see that it begins with in the beginning. I want you to see that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So pretty succinct, pretty straight to the point there. In the beginning, God created heavens and the earth. Here is the Holy Bible. And so this is actually the Common English Bible. And here we've got when God began to create. So that's a little bit different there. There's verse 1. And it appears backwards for me, so sorry about that. When God began to create the heavens and the earth was without shape or form. So we've got a little bit of divergence there. Going a little bit deeper, here is the let's go with the Jewish Study Bible, shall we? And here's the Jewish Study Bible. When God began to create heaven and earth, so heavens and the earth, heaven and earth, the earth being unformed and void. So we've got already three different translations, three different sources. Here's another. This is from Richard Friedman, and this is different. In the beginning of God's creating the skies and the earth. Interesting. So no mention of heaven there, skies and the earth. That's commentary on Torah. And then here's the version I usually fall back on because it was in my training. And so this one here, in the beginning when God created the heavens and the earth. So just in starting, let me go ahead and document what we found. So we found several different and so if you're startled, that's good, because a lot of times we don't pay attention to what, and obviously add your own addition if it's different. Okay, I'll just make a note that's on NRSV there. And then we've got commentary on Torah, New English Translation. So that one goes something like this. So that's kind of different, the skies and the earth. And it's even got, this even has what the Hebrew looks like. So if you wanted to see what written Hebrew looks like that. And so again, there aren't any vowels. These are all consonants, and it's written. You can tell this book opens backwards and reads backwards, or to us. We read Hebrew right to left instead of left to right. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and add another one. Here, he is a well-known Hebrew scholar of Hebrew. Oops, I could spell earth. That would be good. That's interesting. I've not read this. It was dark over the deep sea. So I'd like also to kind of reference this next thing. The water is the face of the deep sea. How does your text refer to that? Because there's a term we're going to get to what that is, and it looks like people are definitely translating that in different ways, and that's important. And this is the Ryrie Study Bible here, and that one was the Common English Bible. It was referred to as the Holy Bible. Again, I think they're taking that off of the KJV, right? Have to be King James Version. And in the beginning, this was our first one. God created heavens and earth. Formless, interesting, and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. And the Spirit, and now this is interesting, the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. So if you're feeling a little bit unsure of what to make of this, that's good, because we don't spend enough time actually looking to see what's there, what's written, what's before us. We assume we know, because it's what's been handed down and passed along in tradition and art. And this is what I'm saying. It's very difficult to kind of back away from this living document, so to speak, that's informing faith communities, to look at it objectively, but to really understand the Bible and start to understand it, in a more objective sense. It's important to try to reorient to what's actually going on and what the text actually is saying. And so, we have 4 different translations, literally 4 different translations out of the possibility of 4. In the beginning, when God, in the beginning of God's creating, when God began to create, in the beginning God created. There's some creative license. Again, like I said in our first recording, ancient Hebrew is a very condensed language. It's an easy one-to-one translation into English is really not possible, I'm going to argue, because of the vast cultural difference and also the difference in time. And so, we'll just take the 1600 version of the King James. Well, even then, you're taking Greek, Latin, you're transposing over to English. You're translating, translating over to English. Again, there's some liberty that's taken in the translation, to try to make it fit. And so I wanted you to see this, to kind of, I want you to be a little unsure, because, well, you're already confronting my faith. I'm not trying to confront your faith. Honestly, I'm trying to deepen your faith because I want you to see what's there and what's at stake. Um, this is interesting for me too in doing this exercise with you. And I didn't get to it in Friedman, but we have 3 other versions here that we can look at, and yours, whatever yours might say. The earth was a formless void. Interesting. The earth was without form or shape in this version. The earth was formless and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. Darkness was over the surface of the deep. So there's this deep. Is that a sea? And here's what this one says. It was dark over the deep sea. And so when I asked this question, what did God create? From the text, if you read the text, what's there? You have God. What was present before God began? That's the answer to this question. What was present before God began creating? Well, you have God, right? God's in there. And this is interesting. This is important. This word in Hebrew is Elohim. And Elohim is interesting, and I'm going to leave it uncapitalized. I know that it went ahead and capitalized it here, and I'm already risking blasphemy, of course. But Elohim is an interesting word because Elohim is not who what we would consider to be God's name. In other words, God has a proper name in the Bible, and we'll get to that. But this isn't it. This is Elohim. This would be like, instead of saying like Coke, like Coca-Cola, the brand name, you've given it a name. This would be like saying pop, or soda. So it's like God with a little g to me, even though, the translators put in there God, but Elohim is it could mean, and in fact, it's a plural. I've had people that I've read and been taught by indicate this is a plural version. Elohim, the gods. In the beginning, when the gods began to create already stepping on. So I mean, we're literally on Genesis 1:1. And we're already stepping into like some significant controversy, right? And it's the very first verse of the Bible. There's a lot at stake here, gang, because your beginning point absolutely determines your destination. If you come to it with a certain belief in a certain way, and you're not willing to look at it outside of these blinders, you're going to end up where your tradition would have you. If you're open to learning about what's really present in there, it's scary, but you're going to end up somewhere else in your belief system. And you're like, well, you're already trying to corrupt me. No, I'm not trying to corrupt you. I mean, there literally people have devoted their lives to studying this, and this is what they've come up with. Looking back over time, through time, looking past traditions, looking past denominations, and finding truth. And so I want to move forward a little bit. So what was present? One thing that we can be certain the text says that was present when before God began to create, however you want to refer to that. There's a Hebrew word called tohu v'bohu, and that is the best translation I can come up with, is watery chaos. And that's reading in a couple other verses, but it's just this water. And so there's no really cool one-to-one translation in English. The author here of Genesis 1 has inserted this term tohu v'bohu to indicate this darkness, this dark, and also that's another thing that's present. Darkness is present before God began to create. There's a few things there. There's darkness. What was present before? Well, there's darkness. There's this tohu v'bohu. When you argue water is there before God began to create. The Spirit of God, is this a mighty wind? Elohim, is that wind? But again, one could argue that's created from Elohim. And interestingly, it mentions earth. And so I think that may be why when God began creating, when God created, there's the earth. What the earth was there. The earth was formless and void. The earth was there. Is that the universe? The earth was without. Maybe you could project our own understanding of the universe in there. But really, I think that the translators are better off saying the earth. But it's there. The earth was a formless void. So we have a few things that were present. And so that's a little different than what we imagine, because God there was nothing, there was just God, and that's not what the text says. There's a few things. It's formless, but it was there. So it's God didn't, and according to the text, create the earth. It was there. God just kind of molded it together. See, that's a different image. It's important. It's important because if we put everything at stake, this is the Big Bang, and God, it was there, because sometimes people try to superimpose the Big Bang on this. That's not really faithful to what's there. And we'll go into more. I used to be guilty of that. Honestly, I used to be guilty because I wanted to fit our view of science into, somehow the Bible can still be true and factual, and so can this. And I really tried for a while until I started to study, until I started to see what was there. And so this is what was already present. This is important, this watery chaos. This is going to become more important later. There's also, from what we just went over today, I want you to take this with you. These will be the things that will help us move forward. The name for God, Elohim, and this watery chaos. These two themes are very important, and I want them to. We're going to carry that forward into our next time that we'll spend together. What I want you to do for next time, and so tohu vabohu is not mentioned very often in the text. There's another place where it's mentioned, and it's an interesting place for it to be mentioned. I would like for your next assignment, moving forward, so we can step together into learning simultaneously. Yeah, this will be the place. I'm gonna break this up a little bit. Let me press pause, because I want you to actually know we're going to step forward a little bit farther in our reading. So if you go on a little bit further, so we've looked at day one, and we've really dug into the text. We dug in and found a lot of things that we didn't know were there, right? What I want you to do for this next time is I want you to read through, and I want you to do this. This is your assignment. What I want you to do is I want you to list the days here. So that you're looking at Genesis 1, basically, and reading through the chapter. And what I want you to do is list things that are created in their order. Okay. So day 1, what is created? And we'll go through each one of the days. All right. This is going to be important for us moving forward. We're going to come back to tohu vabohu. The one thing I want you to, is particular with this term, is what happened What happened to the tohu vabohu? See if you can answer that. All right, gang. I hope this has been fun. It's been fun for me. I enjoy this stuff. So I hope to hear if you have questions, put them in. I'll check YouTube as I can. Otherwise, look for another recording shortly. See you soon.